to either go into business themselves or being able to get into jobs in the private sector. And I was just giving you examples of where in Africa I've created programs to create jobs for young people and get them into jobs, self-employment. And one specific, so for example, if you look at the section on jobs for the youth, apart from the youth digital platform that will create 3 million jobs, you will also find that I've talked about establishing young youth-owned companies, youth-owned agricultural, industrial agricultural companies. So what happens is that if I come to your village, I say, if you do now, so what typically would happen is that during an Alam presidency, there are so many people hanging around in Diaka. Diaka is a great community. The people are very smart. They are very eloquent. I know all those places, but there are no jobs there. Now, so what typically I would do is that I would create a company for groups of people, maybe 40 to 45 of them. I create one company, one company 2, another company 3. And then I provide, government, when I say an island government, will provide seed funding for them to bring in a top, state-of-the-art modern machinery. And let's say, for example, if it's for processing of cassava, processing, everything that has to be brought in to support the youth-owned company. This is government supporting the young people to do that. And then at the same time, we recruit managers to support them. So it's almost like you are feeding them, spoon-feeding them, but the difference is that they own these companies and it's work and pay. So you sit in Diaka, now 40 of you young people from nowhere, you had nothing to do, hanging around there, and then all of a sudden, government has been able to create, let's say, a major agricultural industrial company for you, and all you need, some of you would be working on the farms, some of you would be working in the factory, because this is your own company, and it's work and pay. So over time, you work, and then the profit that comes in, and then we deduct it over time, you own the company fully. So all these things, I've done those things over, and in some cases, there are farmers, existing farmers, maybe they are, what kind of thing do they grow in Duaka, for example? The most cultivated. Cassava, yes, cassava. So in this particular case, I've done that in different districts in Ghana. I create what they call a common user facility. So maybe in a place where we have 600 rice farmers in Krankwanta, or somewhere in Western North, Akontombra. So I actually create a factory, a rice milling factory for these 600 factors, common user facility. They own this processing plant. You bring your rice into your factory, they mill it, and then basically it's your own company. So it's not complicated. Yeah, but the only way it to be attractive to a Ghanaian youth is what I'm talking about. It is capital, it's mechanized. So it's not using hoe and it's mechanized. No, I'm telling you, it's mechanized. So you have bulldozers and that will clear the land. And then, of course, when it comes to planting, you even have planters. You have harvesting equipment. So if you are a young person, and particularly the incentive is the fact that you own the company. You see, and you are not doing this as a one-man business. It's like But the reason I don't call it a cooperative, because cooperatives are still individuals. But this one, I've created a company for you together. And then it becomes attractive because it's mechanized farming, it's large scale farming, and then also there's a guaranteed market for you. And you don't need to think about management because government has also recruited professional managers for you. And all you need is to get the company running, and then you pay the managers. It may sound like it's but I started the cassava factory in Bojuasi, the Ayesu starch factory. I was getting cassava from Biakwa. That's why all those areas. If you like, check. This is like during the Kofor's, 2001. There was so much money coming into that through cassava in Biakwa, all those places. Ah, but I'm telling you, down from that's my area. I can't tell you, and I made cassava become a cash crop because the factory that I created there was owned by 10,000 farmers. And so everybody was going to cassava cultivation because whatever you grow, the factory buys it. And you remember you talked about continuity of government. As soon you see, Alan, the problem with Alan, you were saying that maybe I'm too reserved. People have been so negative, trying to destroy me from long time. The same problem, even within MPP. You remember that's one of the reasons why. So there's so much negative campaign. But hey, you see, Mama, when you know that this man can get things done, then obviously people who can't get things done, they are afraid of their shadows. No, you see, so I have indicated, this, and just to clarify for your the people who are on your space, that this 10-point youth empowerment plan is only a small part of the Great Transformation Plan. So if you go into the Great Transformation Plan, it will show you my vision and my programs on the infrastructure development in Ghana. It will show you on agriculture. How are you going to bring food from the farms to the marketing centers? So if you read this youth plan alone, you will not get it. But if you read the entire GTP, so for example, yes, so I'll get just one example. I have said under my new agricultural revolution that I'm going to create what is called agricultural marketing and distribution companies. This is owned by the private sector. So, Kobby, you are doing great. You are a celebrity. You are getting big money. You are all over Ghana. Kobby, Mensa. Yeah. So, okay, now you've listened to Alan, and Alan says that he's going to create agricultural or food marketing and distribution companies in every district. Then you realize that he's going to provide soft loans, for you to acquire trucks, and there is going to license in every district. He's going to license one or two individuals to start buying food from the farms, in Sabah, Adriacord, and then you go to the farms and you buy off the products, and then you connect them to the marketing centers, the market queens, yes, market queens either in Accra or whatever. Now, the difference is that government is supporting you to acquire a fleet of vehicles. Government is providing financing for the roads, the feeder roads. You get me? So this is all proper integrated planning. And if you now decide that you've become a celebrity, now you want to do some other business, and then I license you and your company to be responsible for all the Aguna. I think you are in Aguna East. All that area that your agricultural marketing company is now going to be the aggregator. You are buying food from all the farms in that area, and bring it to the marketing center. Government is going to give you working capital. So immediately, I've created a billionaire out of you. You get me? It is not complicated. And also, the reason why I'm confident about what I'm saying is that I have made it clear that an Kyerematen government is not going to spend money to build highways. Government is not going to spend any money building highways. No, that is for the private sector. Government will give the incentives to the private sector to find their own money, toll the roads, and then they will construct the roads. So when we talk about the road fund, that money then now is used for feeder roads, farm roads, because those ones you can't toll farm roads. I don't know whether you're getting it. You can't put a toll on farm roads. So government would then reserve the funds that we are using to develop highways, Accra, Cape Coast, Accra, Kumasi. That's not responsibility of government. That is government giving incentives to local and foreign companies to build the roads and toll them, so that we can reserve that money from our consolidated fund for roads that cannot be tolled. And that's the only way you can fix the roads you are talking about. Government has no business in thinking that they will ever find the money to build, these first-class facilities in the rural area. It ain't gonna happen. You will never get the money. But just provide incentives. Just provide the incentives. The private sector, Kobby will now, if you have the right incentives, you don't mind getting cheap funds from government to build a first-class academy, a sports academy in your area. And that alone, that's the grassroots community, because you know that if you start developing a talent there, and then you are able to get some sharp, young, talented boys, very soon you'll be selling your players to you. You understand me? So you are doing this as a business. Government, we don't get it. Government wants to do everything by themselves. You don't have the money. That's where the corruption comes from. That is where the corruption, because when it's a government contract, they can get some 10%. That's where the corruption is coming from. But if Kobby, government is going to give you the incentives, you build first class, sporting academy in the rural, because you cannot only net talent in Accra or the big cities. The talent is there in the rural areas. And that's why you build the first class facilities. Swimming. When you put a swimming academy along you see how many people will become national level swimmers. So it's very soon you see Olympic swimmers coming from rural communities. So it is about people are not listening to us. I put up a fantastic plan, the Great Transformational Plan. Within 3 years, Ghana will change completely. And people are listening to slogans, from my competitors, slogans, things that don't end in anything. So I'm happy you made reference to this, because I've said promote community-based grassroots sports development. And that is, what I'm saying is that I don't only operate in Ghana. I created what is called the African Super League. I'm telling you this, African Super League. Yes. It was when I created that, you had FIFA and all these trying to scramble. I brought the original idea of African Super League. Yeah, but Kobby, I understand you, but Ghanaians are negative. If you didn't know me, everything you hear about Alan is about MPP, some useless person making noise about Alan. Alan, he has, but you see, do we need a country that can we survive? Why are you talking about mindset change? Why did you lead with a mindset change? Do we have a situation where people are always talking about negative? You don't know the person. I've talked about myself. It's not the first time I'm talking about myself. Kobby, trust me. So I believe, yeah, I mean, we need substance over noise. People are just making, it's only big talk. They don't know what they are talking about. They are just talking. And people listen on radio, but I don't have the executive time to be engaged in that kind of thing. If you're a serious person, yes, if you're a serious person, like I'm telling you, I created the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. The amount of effort I put into creating the biggest project in Africa, and the AFCFTA, Ghana is now boasting about AFCFTA. I did, you know how much time I spent to create this project for Africa, to bring African economies market together. You understand? So I won't even have time to be sitting there debating with people who don't know anything and they're just making noise. And I'm appealing to the young people: don't follow that gap. You see, the young people, I'm giving you a chance. Listen to what I'm saying. If you want to get into that kind of negative thing where you are listening to people who are just making noise, you find that you don't have a future. You get me? So I'm saying that the things I've created is not even Ghana level, you know. So I think that if you look at sports, for example, I'm saying that get the private sector to invest by giving them incentives. And if you go further, I said that, look, Intercom, you know, when even at our time at Southern College, you know, I'm sure during your time in school, Intercom is all dead now. But I have it right here. Read it. It says number two, provide special funding. Nobody, the people, my competitors who are making noise, who is talking about Intercom? But, but this is right here. This right here. So, Kobby, I mean, that's why I'm working with you guys just to basically amplify my message, because the negativity is so long. Sometimes they talk so negative about Alan. The person doesn't know anything, but maybe people within MPP or within NDC, they're just making noise, you know, and people buy into the negative stuff. To read, I'll just point out one to you. This about educational. I will point out to you. I said now creative arts in our basic and second cycle school, creative arts, music, arts, all those things, drama, they are all lost. And it's right there in my plan, how to bring back creative arts, you know, from basic education to secondary. I mean, we are not even on nothing. Of course, I used to have a band. I was playing bass guitar. I had a band in school. Oh yes, yes. Me missing watch you, Kobby. Oh, interesting. That's good. Oh, interesting, interesting. And I see a band. Uh, so So if you look at my GTP page 39 on developing the creative industry, I said reintroduce creative arts. Listen, reintroduce creative arts, that is dance, drama, theater, arts, music, and visual arts in the basic education curriculum. That's where it starts from. So Micro formula, no, everything is there. But no, unfortunately, so I come out with a great plan, the great transformational plan. I mean, this is the solution for Ghana. Now, you people are listening to, you know, manifestos which Can you believe that you have two dominant parties over 32 years? We are back in IMF. 32 years, they want power again, and people are even listening to them now. Well, they should go and bring their plan. They've brought manifestos full of promises. Even the person who is now coming out, like myself, I was able to bring out my plan way ahead of the two parties, way ahead, and a more comprehensive plan that they have. They said MPP had 319 people writing their manifesto. 319 writing their manifesto. Even then, they couldn't finish, and then they only brought it last. And look at what I've been able to produce with a small team. So, hey, I think that you guys should amplify my message. You know, bits and pieces, you are absolutely, yeah. And yeah, fantastic. See, this whole concept of a national development plan is exactly what the Great Transformational Plan is. So I can tell you. So I've said that, Kobby. I said manifestos are not plans. Manifestos are not plans. Manifestos are catalog promises. Manifestos are not plans. They are a catalog of promises. A plan provides a sense of direction. It tells you, I will do this, and it tells you how I will do it. So what you are talking about, the National Development Plan, this is the foundation of a National Development Plan. What we have been producing over the years as National Development Plans, I mean, I don't want to sound negative, but go and read them and then read this GTP. You see the difference. It's not about grammar. It's not about English. You understand? It's about the policy agenda that goes into a national development plan. And look, who was this, Samson Landy, who said that, look, yes, what Alan has produced seems to be summarizing everything for Ghana. That's the national development. Then he said he wishes that this plan, the Great Transformation, and even look at the way I have branded it, the Great Transformational Plan, meaning that it is going to transform Ghana from the third world to the first world. And that is why the symbol of the movement that I lead is the butterfly. Because if you want to have the perfect example or symbol of transformation, look at the butterfly, where it starts from until it gets to a butterfly. You know how butterflies come about? You know how butterflies come about? Yes. So it's a national development plan. Interestingly, there's a friend, somebody told me that a friend from NDC said, Alan, this Alan's document here, I wish you would give it to NDC for them to implement. They say, oh, you bring forth a baby and you take the baby to another woman to go and breastfeed the baby. It's not going to happen. Let them give the baby, I'll brought the baby and I'll breastfeed it myself. But right, I'm happy you put this on the table. The National Development Plan is exactly what the Great Transformational Plan, because it has 6 clusters. First is the economy. Second is governance. Third is infrastructure. Fourth is social services, meaning social service, health, education, sports. And then the fifth one is natural resource management and environment and science and technology. This is where Galamsey and all these things. And then the 6th cluster is attitudinal and mindset change. So if you're looking at the National Development Plan, Kobby, tell me all sincerity, which one of these will you take out? Look at my structure, the structure that I've told you, and look at the National Development Plan. You see, full of a lot of grammar analysis. You can't even read it. But 6 clusters: economy, infrastructure, governance, social service. So simple, concise, and then under each cluster, you have a number of pillars. So if you take, for example, the economy has 4 pillars. One is the macro economy itself, because if the macro does not work, the economy will not work. So it's the macro where we talk about stable currency, inflation, interest rates, your debt, all those things. If you look at my proposal for stabilizing the currency, for bringing down inflation, it's amazing. You get me? And all this is just the macro economy. But then there's another that talks about the new industrial revolution, which is also there. Then there's the new agricultural revolution. Then there's tourism. So all these 4 pillars make up the economy. And before we go further, then you find that there's the governance cluster. Under that, we have corruption, we have reducing the size of the public sector. I've said that we would reduce the number of ministers from 100 and something to 40. And I've indicated all the new ministries that will be created. So I'm only using your platform, and I'm happy you ended on this one. What we need is a national development plan. Alan is offering the Great Transformational Plan as a national development plan. Okay, I'm so happy that today is almost like you have crept into my mind, and as if you have been sitting here with me. You read the same document I have, Youth and the Digital Revolution, Section H, Youth and 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 the Digital Revolution. But you can start even with G. You can start with G. Youth, yeah, G, youth in tourism and the creative industry. Establish a creative industry fund to support young artists. Then host annual youth arts and culture expos. My brother, I didn't buy host annual youth uh, host annual youth arts and culture expo to showcase talents of young people in the creative industry and provide network opportunities for them. This annual event will bring out all the people in the creative industry at an annual festival. It has never been like that in this country. Then I said, introduce new legislation and regulations to protect the intellectual property rights of entrepreneurs, particularly young ones in the creative industry. And then you go to, for it says, integrate the youth in local community in the development and promotion of tourism. You go abroad, every tourism location, there are young people who are producing t-shirts, producing small arts and craft. That alone is big business. And around, you see, this is business for young people, But if you don't have the idea, and look at this, under H, it says, 2, support digital content creators, including but not limited to influencers, bloggers, and vloggers, and facilitating access to training, global market exposure, and the monetization of the content they generate. Master, there you are here. Uh, hey, that's what you see what uh, yeah, you see, like you use the right questions, but you see, it's all right. Have you heard of any of my competitors? They don't even understand it. They don't even understand what I've written here. But how long can I speak myself? Unless people are serious in Ghana, they are truly auditing our background. If people don't read what I've done, what else can I say? I've put this out. People are not reading. They're only interested in people making noise on radio and just sound bites. And then, but there's a limit to what I can do. You see the quality of work that I've produced. I think you will agree with me. Yes, And so when I'm president and I'm implementing this, it's very easy because you have the original ideas and you know, because you've created the idea, you know how to implement it. But if you're president, you don't even understand who a blogger is, you don't even understand vloggers, you don't understand intellectual property rights. The difference is that, you see, I'm an economist, I'm a lawyer, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a diplomat, I'm a corporate executive. So the kind of combination I have, I tell you. So when I speak, I know what I'm talking about. Kobby Anamebua. Thank you very much. Yes, yes. You're right. But you see, this point is very, very important. Even though it's coming up at the closing stages, it's very, very important. And next time we have to do another program to talk about how do Ghanaian youth start thinking about what are they looking for? Because this is right now for you. If look, do you know what is interesting? It is the young people of this country who can make the next president. I can tell you, look, 2020, out of 17 million registered voters, 10 million, 10 million out of the 17, aged between 18 and 35. I am saying that out of the 17 million registered voters, eh, 10 million are aged between 18 and 35. If you extend it to 18 and 45, they are about 70%. So the young people, this is, and I've been talking about the fact that follow Alan, because me, I've said I'm a transitional candidate. You know, God has blessed me so much. I'm celebrated in Africa, all over the world. I only want to create a path for new class of young leaders. So the young people should listen to what I'm saying, you know, and that's why I've selected as my vice president a young person, 40 years. He himself is a musician, Kyei. He's a lawyer, and basically he's a political activist and he's a broadcast journalist, you know. So even look at the combination of things I've put together in my vice president and compare what the others have. You know. So I think that we've had a great conversation, and I even wish that if you recorded this, you should play it again, full, because we didn't have the opportunity. You know, there were some technical hiccups. Yeah, no, no problem. Hey, you have brought yourself again. Hey, you are a mafia boy because me, I don't know how you are sitting here. Now look at your chat. I sent you a message. I think you are traveled. Look at your chat. Yeah. Look, but you see what you said. Mafia. Look at the GTP page 49. If you read it, no, not now, but later, you go to constitutional reforms, page 49. The most comprehensive program for constitutional reforms. It's all there. All there. And you see, it means that as soon as I become president, I'll make sure I drive these constitutional reforms. We don't have time. We'd have gone through all the reforms that I'm proposing, including Article 71, abolishing Article 71, abolishing the Council of State, Council of State. Oh, Master, you read and you see what I'm talking about. Thank you very much, Toby. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, this is a passionate appeal to the young people of this country that I am your president. I can tell you. I have made a personal commitment, public commitment, that I'm a transition candidate. I want to create an opportunity for a new class of young leaders for our country. because you constitute the future. You are the majority. You are the ones who have the numbers. Don't let anybody deceive you. You are the ones who have the numbers. So put your vote where your future is. And as I said, I've gone through great ideas for the young people, and whether it's about job creation, whether it's about developing your talent, whether it's about creating even external opportunities for you to work outside the country, bringing you back to Ghana. So many of these things that we do. So I'm your president, and make sure that the youth of Ghana make a clear statement now that I've filed my nomination. And I want you, Kobby, to lead the effort, that you are leading the effort to draw attention of the youth to the fact that this is your president. If you do that, it will happen, because you, the young people, you have the vote. So that's my message to you. I also thank you for this opportunity. Oh yes. Oh, it's there. It's everything is there. You know, you read the constitutional reforms. If you have time, they say abolish Article 71 holders. Yes, including the ex gratia. It's all there. The skills bank. So one is going out, the other one is coming in, and two sides of the same coin. It's a great. These are great projects. You know, and I know what I'm talking about, because when I was ambassador to the United States under President Kufuor, the first project I introduced as ambassador was the Ghana Skills Bank project. Amazing program. I got the diasporans in the US, outside the US, to profile themselves onto this platform. And it was incredible, the number of talents we had outside. And see that, you know, and just through that experiment, I had a good, you know, inventory of the skills abroad. So all these things that I'm talking about is not theory. I've actually implemented them in the past. I want to be given the opportunity to become president so that I can take this to another level. It's all about hope. If you have a new leader who knows what he's about, who has a program to create jobs, then young people then believe that they can make it at home, because the opportunities will be clear. And once the opportunities are clear, why would you want to go into an environment of uncertainty? If you have a leader like Alan, who has created these job opportunities, you have a decent living under the same young people's program. I've introduced a new initiative where young people can own a house within a period of 1 year. As long as you have a job, through a mortgage financing scheme that I'm going to introduce. Once you get a paycheck, you can buy a house within a year, because you're going to pay for it over 25 years, 30 years. Kobby, you know this. All our people, relatives live in America. Nobody uses fiscal cash to buy a house. Everybody's on a mortgage, 25 years, 30 years, as long as you have a paycheck. So it's about leadership, it's about ideas. So if Alan is president and you have all these opportunities, why do you want to cross the desert to venture into unknown territory? So basically, that's the way I would look at it. Under F, housing for the youth, it says, introduce new provisions under the existing legislation and regulations on rent and rent control to abolish the requirement of multi-year advance rent payment for young people, especially first-time renters. It's complicated, because there's a Rent Control Act, but it depends on what is in the act. And there's no reference to, how first-time renters can avoid this being you know, I don't want to use any negative word, that they should not be taken advantage of by landlords. It's all legislation. If you go to other countries, it's there that if a young person, a first-time renter, is renting property, you cannot charge beyond 6 months. In most countries, yes, through legislation, it is illegal to ask for advance payment more than 6 months. So we make things so complicated. But people have had their own way because we don't have the laws, and if we have the laws, we are not enforcing it. That practice. So, yeah. So first, make sure that you have the right provisions in the law. The Rent Control Act, if you go and look at it, some of the provisions are outdated. And yes, so you make sure that you completely review the rent law and controls, and make sure that you have the right institutional mechanisms in place for enforcement. And once becomes a culture and is mainstream, no landlord can. If you go to other places, it is not even possible for a landlord to even dream of charging a year's advance. And rentals are on 6-month basis. So that will be the norm. And under my presidency, is going to be the norm. What are you going to do? You're a landlord. That is the regulation in the country. And so what are you going to do? You are not going to stay in the house. So it doesn't make sense. See, all these provisions that have allowed ridiculous advance payment came into our system years back when there was no control. Can't talk about offices. When others is a new dispensation completely. If you put the kind of civil servants that are kindly, maybe, of course, you can't blame them. They themselves are underpaid. Those sitting in the rent control office, they're underpaid. And they themselves, even though they are supposed to now ensure that the rent control works, he or she herself is being forced to pay 2 years advance. The one who is sitting in the rent office, he himself is suffering from that. So how can he be sitting? Yes. So please, you see, this whole thing, it's about leadership. There's no discipline in our country. Everything is so loose. I mean, these are like taxes. When you go to the United States of America, on the 15th of April, everybody is supposed to file your tax. You cannot, cannot even happen that you have the courage to say that you won't file your tax. You go to jail. You ask your friends in the United States. As soon as they get into April, everybody is running helter-skelter, falling over themselves. You have to file your taxes. It's the same thing. If you have rent control offices where the people who are managing the offices themselves are subject to the tyranny of landlords, how can they control other people? So you need a new type of leadership in Ghana. That's what I'm saying. But the only way that they will put their money into this kind of affordable home is when they know that there's mortgage financing and that if they build, they'll get people to rent. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. Look, as far back as the early 80s, I brought in a real estate developer who was going to build at that time a unit house, 80 square meters, $10,000. At that time, $10,000 was like, with the exchange rate, $10,000 a house, 80 square meters, fully fitted with with a fridge, with all the oven, everything, stove and everything. $10,000. But lo and behold, fully furnished, $10,000. It will come in containers, one house per one container. from Florida, because of my network. Lo and behold, the land that I acquired, by the time I brought in the architect and the people who are going to finance it, they were attacked by land guards on the as soon as the first day we want to sign, Americans say, "Hey, my friend, I'm out of here," and that was it. So we are a big joke. Some of the things that, but the technology is there. Technology that was built even under $10,000. This is fully fitted. You see, so once a mortgage financing scheme is there, affordable houses is, look, America is what it is because they have two major institutions, Fannie Mae and Fannie Mac. You can read up on them, and so they were able to develop this whole mortgage financing environment. So if you set up state housing, he only state housing corporation without mortgage financing, it ain't gonna work. Look, it's about leadership. People even don't have the exposure. As I said, I know, I've traveled around and I know and understand what works and what does not work. Now everybody, okay, yes, you want to become president, but what is your exposure? What have you done in life before? Remember, Kobby, in 1994, Time International Magazine, 1994, they were looking for the 100 top global leaders for the world, not Africa, top 100 global leaders for the world, 1994. The first one they mentioned was Bill Gates. They mentioned J.F. Kennedy was going to become president of the United States. They mentioned Condoleezza Rice, who later on became Secretary of State. They mentioned Jeffrey Sachs, who is leading development economy. They mentioned Alan Kyerematen of Ghana, 1994. My brother, people are joking. 1994, I was being compared with Bill Gates as one of the top 100 global leaders. So fast forward 24, and you're looking for a president, and the people who want to become president, what have they done in their before coming into politics? I mean, I cannot talk about anybody's show. I can talk about my own record. In 2013, the heads of state of Africa nominated me to become the WTO Director General. That's World Trade Organization Director General. There are only 4 top positions in the world: President of the World Bank, Managing Director of IMF, UN Secretary General, and Director General of the World Trade Organization, WTO. So if in 2013, when I was not in government, heads of states Africa nominated me to become the Director General of one of the 4 top positions in the world, of course, then I can only say that if Alan becomes president, because I already have built that reputation. Talk about yourself sometimes, People still don't know me, but Ghanaians are also sometimes very difficult to convince, because no prophet is, I'm telling you, no prophet is acceptable in his own home. Kobby, what I'm telling you now, I've said it on several platforms, but still people refuse, as if they have not heard. So we don't celebrate our heroes. What I'm telling you is no news. 1994, 100 top global leaders, Bill Gates, Alan Kyerematen, Condoleezza Rice. How else do people want me to explain? You understand me? So I agree with you that maybe I could trumpet myself, but I think we also have a very negative mind in our country. You understand me? The reason why Bill Gates is celebrated there is that people celebrate their heroes in the United States. You understand me? Here it's not the case. So much negativity because there's somebody who say, oh, Alan, Alan was nobody. It just go for. You see, people don't know my background, so they think that I was brought out of nowhere by President Kufuor. You should ask President Kufuor, who I was even before President Kufuor became president. When did President Kufuor become president? 2001. And I'm talking about 1994. I was already a global leader, not an African or Ghanaian leader. So what, I'm just saying that you remember we're talking about our mindset change. We are so negative in our thoughts. If we don't stop, maybe look, I can only offer myself, to get Ghana to rise. But the point is that if we don't change our mindset and attitude, I'll talk and talk and talk, people will not listen, and it's a country that eventually suffers. Yeah. You see, no, but you are making the right comments. But you see, I can tell you that it's all about the mindset change. If I was basically very reserved, laid back, you think I would have had all those global recognition? It would not have happened. It will not have happened. Look, I was 22 years when I was a manager with with the largest company in Ghana called UAC. 22 years in 1977. I was 22 years in the largest company in Ghana, UAC, now Unilever. It will take you not less than 40 years to get into UAC to become a manager. So you see, basically, and so, I mean, of course, I wish people would say that, oh, but the point is that, no, yes, is that if I have a certain gentle personality, it has nothing to do with my orientation, my firmness, because everybody that deals with me, that I don't tolerate, I'm firm and firm. But you see, you need leaders who also have a certain charisma and who know how to deal with people. It's only in Ghana where we celebrate rowdyism, leadership. Is that what we want? Is that what we want in our country? How can somebody judge that, oh, this man is a no? And I'm not going to change my character to become a rowdy person just because, that's what people are looking for. But I think that we have a certain negative mindset. Yes, it may affect me in terms of my rise to leadership, but Ghanaians should start thinking again, to really start thinking again. You see, because what I'm saying is that I don't need to be shouting on the radio every time and slogans and things like that. I'm a deep person. Otherwise, I've gotten to where I was in the early 90s. you get me? When Mandela came out of prison in 1994, and he was faced with the of becoming president in a country where the majority of the blacks were jobless,